Welcome back to RE Coins News. What if one ordinary Jefferson nickel could unlock an incredible story hidden for generations? Today we're counting down the top 5 Jefferson nickels from 2008, 2009, 2014, 2015, and 2022, revealing their complete history, the legacy of Thomas Jefferson, the iconic Monticello design, fascinating minting secrets, genuine mint errors, collector demand, and why some exceptional examples have sold for thousands of dollars at auction. We'll separate myths from reality, uncover what makes certain nickels stand out, and show you exactly what collectors look for before adding one to their collections. Before you spend another nickel, watch until the very end, because the next coin in your pocket could have a story far more valuable than its face value. This is RE Coins News, and let's begin our top 5 Jefferson nickel countdown. Step 1. Have you ever looked at a simple 5-cent coin and wondered if it carries a story far greater than its size? Every day, millions of people spend nickels without a second thought, dropping them into vending machines, cash registers, and coin jars. Yet the 2008 P. Jefferson nickel is much more than a small piece of everyday currency. It is a silent witness to American history, craftsmanship, and tradition. On its surface appear the powerful words liberty, in God we trust, United States of America, EPLUBUSUNUM, and 5 cents, surrounding the portrait of Thomas Jefferson and the famous Monticello estate. While most 2008 nickels entered circulation as ordinary money, every one of them carries a remarkable story that stretches back more than 2 centuries. Today, collectors continue to study these coins because they represent an important chapter in the long history of American coinage, proving that even the smallest denomination can preserve an extraordinary legacy. Long before the 2008 Jefferson nickel was struck, the history behind its design had already been unfolding for generations. The story begins with Thomas Jefferson, the 3rd President of the United States, one of the nation's founding fathers, and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson believed that education, freedom, and knowledge formed the foundation of a strong republic. His influence reached far beyond politics, shaping American architecture, science, agriculture, and philosophy. Because of his lasting contributions, the United States honored him by placing his portrait on the 5-cent coin beginning in 1938. Every Jefferson nickel struck since then has served as a tribute to his vision and leadership, allowing millions of Americans to carry a small reminder of one of the nation's most influential historical figures in their pockets every day. The building shown on the reverse of the 2008 nickel is Monticello, Jefferson's famous Virginia estate and one of the most recognized homes in American history. Designed largely by Jefferson himself, Monticello reflects his deep interest in architecture, engineering, and classical design. Construction continued over many years as Jefferson constantly refined and improved his masterpiece. More than simply a family home, Monticello became a place where ideas about science, agriculture, politics, and innovation were explored. By placing this historic building on the reverse of the nickel, the United States Mint transformed an ordinary circulating coin into a miniature tribute to American history and creativity. Every line engraved into the image of Monticello reminds collectors that great achievements often begin with vision, patience, and determination. When the year 2008 arrived, America was experiencing a period of rapid technological advancement and significant economic challenges. Despite changing times, the Jefferson nickel remained one of the nation's most familiar coins, continuing a tradition that had lasted for decades. Millions of these nickels were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the small P mint mark appearing beside Jefferson's portrait. From the moment they left the mint, these coins entered banks, businesses, and homes across the country, becoming part of everyday life. Children used them to buy snacks, commuters received them as change, and families stored them inside jars without imagining that years later collectors would carefully examine these same coins in search of exceptional condition, fascinating mint errors, and historical significance. Every surviving 2008 P nickel represents another chapter in the continuing story of American commerce. At first glance, the 2008 P. Jefferson nickel appears simple, but every design element carries meaning. The word liberty represents one of the nation's most cherished principles, reminding every generation of the freedoms upon which the United States was founded. Above Jefferson appears, "In God We Trust," a national motto that has appeared on American currency for generations. On the reverse, the words United States of America, EPLUBUSUNUM, and 5 cents surround the image of Monticello, completing a design that balances national identity with historical tribute. The Latin phrase EPLUBUSUNUM, meaning out of many one, symbolizes the unity of the states that together form the nation. Every inscription transforms the coin from a simple piece of currency into a lasting reminder of America's history, ideals, and enduring traditions. The journey of every 2008 P. Jefferson nickel began long before it reached someone's pocket. Deep inside the Philadelphia Mint, enormous coils of specially prepared metal were transformed into perfectly round blanks through a highly precise manufacturing process. Each blank was carefully cleaned, polished, and inspected before entering powerful coining presses capable of striking hundreds of coins every minute. With a single powerful strike, Thomas Jefferson's portrait appeared on one side, while the image of Monticello emerged on the other. Every letter, every line, and every tiny detail became permanently impressed into the metal within a fraction of a second. Although millions of nickels were produced during 2008, the remarkable precision required to create each coin reflects decades of technological advancement and engineering excellence inside the United States Mint. Unlike the Lincoln cent, the Jefferson nickel has always possessed a unique metallic composition that gives it its familiar silver appearance. The 2008 P nickel was struck from an alloy containing 75% copper and 25% nickel, a composition that has been used for American nickels for many decades. This durable mixture allows the coin to withstand years of circulation while preserving much of its original design. Every scratch, every tiny contact mark, and every sign of wear gradually records the coin's journey through daily commerce. Some nickels spend years moving from one cash register to another, while others remain carefully stored in collectors' albums, preserving the brilliant surfaces they displayed on the day they left the mint. This difference in preservation eventually becomes one of the most important factors influencing collector interest. To most people, every 2008 P. Jefferson nickel looks identical, but experienced collectors understand that careful observation often reveals fascinating differences. Tiny variations in strike quality, luster, and surface preservation separate ordinary examples from exceptional survivors. Some coins display remarkably sharp details throughout Jefferson's portrait and the Monticello building, while others reveal softer features because of slight differences during the striking process. Collectors also study the edges, lettering, and fields under magnification, searching for anything unusual that distinguishes one coin from millions of others. This patient examination transforms an ordinary nickel into an exciting historical investigation, proving that remarkable discoveries often begin with nothing more than curiosity and careful attention to detail. Among the most exciting aspects of modern coin collecting are genuine mint-made errors. Occasionally, a coin leaves the mint, displaying an unusual feature created during production rather than through later damage. A die crack may produce a raised line across part of the design, while an off-center strike can leave part of the image missing from the finished coin. Other authentic errors include clipped planchets, broad strikes, and certain double die varieties. These unusual pieces attract collectors because they represent accidental moments in the minting process that escaped quality control. However, experienced numismatists also know that scratches, dents, corrosion, or damage caused after circulation do not qualify as mint errors. Learning the difference between authentic production varieties and post-mint damage is one of the most valuable skills a collector can develop. As years passed after 2008, countless Jefferson nickels disappeared into piggy banks, family collections, and forgotten drawers, while millions more continued circulating throughout the United States. Every surviving coin now carries a history that cannot be recreated. Some have traveled thousands of miles across the country, while others have remained close to the communities where they first entered circulation. Their continued survival reminds us that history often hides in the smallest everyday objects. Whether discovered inside an old coin jar, received as change from a local store, or carefully preserved inside a collector's album, every 2008 P. Jefferson nickel tells a story of craftsmanship, commerce, and American heritage that continues to inspire collectors around the world. Picture a quiet evening in an old American home where a family decides to empty a dusty glass jar that has been collecting spare change for years. Pennies, dimes, quarters, and nickels spill across the kitchen table, creating a metallic sound that echoes through the room. Among that ordinary pile rests a 2008 P. Jefferson nickel, looking no different from the others at first glance. Yet every coin has traveled a different path. This nickel may have been exchanged at neighborhood stores, carried by travelers crossing state lines, or tucked into a child's pocket after receiving change from a favorite snack. The beauty of coin collecting lies in these untold journeys. Every scratch and every polished edge whispers a story of countless moments that history never recorded, transforming an everyday 5-cent coin into a silent witness to modern American life. Imagine standing inside the Philadelphia Mint during 2008, surrounded by the thunder of enormous coining presses operating with extraordinary precision. The atmosphere is filled with the rhythmic sound of machinery as thousands of blank planchets move rapidly along conveyor systems before reaching powerful presses. In an instant, immense pressure transforms each plain metal disc into a finished Jefferson nickel. Engineers continuously monitor every stage of production to maintain quality, ensuring that Jefferson's portrait, the Monticello design, and every inscription remain sharp and consistent. Although millions of coins are produced every day, the technology behind this process represents generations of innovation. Each completed nickel leaves the mint not simply as currency, but as a carefully engineered product built to serve the nation for decades. Now shift your attention from the factory floor to the eyes of an experienced collector sitting beneath a bright examination lamp. Instead of looking only at the date, the collector slowly studies every tiny detail with magnification. Jefferson's hair, the contours of his face, the sharpness of the lettering, the windows of Monticello, and even the smallest design elements are carefully inspected. What appears ordinary to most people becomes fascinating under close observation. Collectors understand that exceptional strike quality, original luster, and untouched surfaces distinguish outstanding examples from heavily circulated coins. This patient process transforms coin collecting into a form of historical investigation, where every detail contributes another clue about the coin's remarkable journey through time. Not every memorable coin becomes important because of rarity alone. Sometimes a coin earns admiration simply because it survives in extraordinary condition, while millions of others gradually disappear through decades of circulation. A beautifully preserved 2008 P. Jefferson nickel with brilliant original surfaces demonstrates how carefully it was protected from the moment it left the mint. Such coins provide collectors with an opportunity to admire the design exactly as the engravers intended. Every crisp letter, every clean field, and every sharp architectural detail on Monticello reflects the remarkable craftsmanship achieved during production. These exceptional survivors remind us that preservation is itself part of history, allowing future generations to experience the beauty of American coinage almost exactly as it appeared on the day of issue. The story of the 2008 P. Jefferson nickel ultimately reaches beyond its metal composition or collector interest. It represents continuity, reminding us that even in an age of rapid technological change, some traditions continue unchanged. Every time someone receives a nickel in change, they hold a small piece of American heritage, carrying the portrait of one of the nation's greatest founding fathers and the image of his historic home. The inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, EPLUBUSUNUM, and 5 cents continue to preserve ideals that have endured across generations. Long after digital transactions become more common, this humble 5-cent coin remains a lasting reminder that history is often carried not in museums alone, but quietly in the pockets of ordinary people every single day. The final chapter of the 2008 P. Jefferson nickel is still unfolding because every day another coin finds its way into the hands of someone willing to look beyond its face value. Imagine receiving a handful of change after making an ordinary purchase. Among the coins rests a Jefferson nickel that has already completed an incredible journey through cities, towns, highways, and countless businesses across America. It has witnessed changing generations, economic challenges, technological revolutions, and everyday moments that history books will never record. Although small enough to fit comfortably in the palm of your hand, this 5-cent coin carries a lifetime of experiences that no newly minted coin can ever possess. Its greatest treasure is not simply the metal from which it was made, but the remarkable story that time has engraved upon its surface. Behind the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson lies a legacy that continues to inspire millions of Americans. Jefferson believed that education, curiosity, and knowledge were essential for building a strong nation. Those same values are reflected in the continued popularity of the Jefferson nickel among collectors today. Every time someone studies the details of the coin, they are participating in a tradition of learning and discovery that Jefferson himself would likely have admired. The image of Monticello standing proudly on the reverse serves as a lasting reminder that great achievements begin with vision, dedication, and patience. More than 2 centuries after Jefferson designed his remarkable estate, it continues to appear on a coin carried by people throughout the United States, quietly preserving his legacy for future generations. There is something extraordinary about the way collectors examine a coin that most people would spend without hesitation. Under bright lighting and powerful magnification, every tiny detail suddenly becomes important. The sharpness of Jefferson's portrait, the architectural precision of Monticello, the clarity of the inscriptions, and the natural brilliance of the original surfaces all reveal how well the coin has survived since 2008. Collectors understand that every mark tells part of the coin's history. Some examples remain almost exactly as they appeared on the day they left the Philadelphia Mint, while others proudly display the honest wear earned through years of circulation. Neither story is forgotten, because both represent authentic chapters in the life of an American coin that has faithfully served its purpose. Perhaps the greatest lesson taught by the 2008 P. Jefferson nickel is that history often hides where people least expect to find it. Museums preserve priceless artifacts behind glass, yet millions of historical objects continue circulating unnoticed through everyday life. Every Jefferson nickel carries the words Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, EPLUOBUSUNUM, and 5 cents, preserving ideals that have shaped the nation for generations. These inscriptions are not merely decorative elements, they represent the values, unity, and identity of the United States. Every time the coin changes hands, it quietly continues its mission of connecting the present with the past, proving that even the smallest denomination can carry enormous historical importance. As this documentary reaches its conclusion, one unforgettable truth remains. The 2008 P. Jefferson nickel is far more than a simple 5-cent coin. It is a lasting symbol of American craftsmanship, historical remembrance, and everyday life. While only a small number of examples displaying authentic mint eras or exceptional preservation attract strong collector premiums, every surviving nickel deserves appreciation for the remarkable journey it has completed. The next time you receive a Jefferson nickel in your change, pause for a moment before placing it back into your pocket. Look closely at Jefferson's portrait, admire the image of Monticello, read the inscriptions, and remember that history does not always announce itself with great monuments or famous events. Sometimes it quietly waits inside the smallest coin, ready to reveal its extraordinary story to anyone curious enough to take a closer look. Step 2. Imagine holding a small 5-cent coin that quietly traveled through one of the most unusual years in modern American history. At first glance, the 2009 D. Jefferson nickel appears ordinary, yet it represents a remarkable chapter in the story of United States coinage. The familiar inscriptions, Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, EPLUBUSUNUM, and 5 cents surround two of the most recognizable symbols in American history, Thomas Jefferson and his beloved home, Monticello. Although millions of people handled these nickels during everyday transactions, few realized they were carrying a coin produced during a year of extraordinary economic uncertainty. Today, collectors continue to search for well-preserved examples because the 2009 D. Jefferson nickel tells a story that extends far beyond its face value, preserving history within a simple piece of American currency. Long before the first 2009 D nickel was struck, the story began with a remarkable man whose influence shaped the United States forever. Thomas Jefferson was not only the nation's third president, but also a philosopher, architect, inventor, diplomat, and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. His belief in liberty, education, and scientific progress helped define the character of a young nation. Because of these lasting contributions, Jefferson's portrait first appeared on the American 5-cent coin in 1938. For generations afterward, every Jefferson nickel carried his image, allowing millions of Americans to remember one of their country's greatest founding fathers through a coin exchanged countless times each day. Standing proudly on the reverse of the 2009 D. Jefferson nickel is Monticello, the historic Virginia estate that Jefferson designed with extraordinary care and imagination. More than simply a residence, Monticello reflected Jefferson's lifelong fascination with architecture, engineering, agriculture, and classical design. Every room, every window, and every carefully planned detail represented his belief that beauty and practical function could exist together. When the United States Mint selected Monticello as the reverse design for the Jefferson nickel, it transformed an ordinary circulating coin into a miniature tribute to American creativity and innovation. Every time someone turns the coin over, they see not merely a building, but a symbol of one man's vision that continues to inspire people more than 2 centuries later. The year 2009 occupies a unique place in American history. The nation was facing significant economic challenges following the global financial crisis, and the demand for circulating coins declined as commerce slowed. Because fewer nickels were needed for everyday transactions, the United States Mint produced substantially fewer 2009 D. Jefferson nickels than in many surrounding years. This lower mintage has made the coin especially interesting to collectors, not because every example is automatically rare or highly valuable, but because fewer entered circulation compared with typical production years. As time passes, well-preserved examples from lower mintage years naturally become more difficult to locate, increasing their historical appeal among numismatists who appreciate complete date and mint collections. Every inscription engraved upon the 2009 D. Jefferson nickel carries a meaning that reaches beyond decoration. The word liberty celebrates one of America's founding principles, while In God We Trust reflects a national motto that has appeared on United States coinage for generations. On the reverse, United States of America proudly identifies the nation that issued the coin, while EPLUBUSUNUM, translated as out of many, one, symbolizes unity among the states. Completing the design are the words 5 cents, identifying the coin's denomination. Together, these inscriptions transform a simple nickel into a lasting expression of American identity, connecting history, government, and national ideals through a coin carried by millions of ordinary citizens. One small letter beside Jefferson's portrait tells an important part of the story. The D Mint mark identifies the coin as having been struck at the Denver Mint, one of the principal coin-producing facilities in the United States. Every Denver-produced nickel began its life inside this historic mint before traveling through banks, businesses, and households across the country. For collectors, the mint mark is more than a tiny letter, it is the coin's birthplace. Combined with the date, it helps identify the exact issue and allows collectors to build complete sets representing different years and mint locations. Even such a small detail reminds us that every coin begins its remarkable journey in a specific place before becoming part of everyday American life. Deep inside the Denver Mint, where precision and speed work together every second, the journey of the 2009 Jefferson nickel truly began. Massive coils of metal arrived at the facility before being transformed into thousands of perfectly round blanks. These blank planchets moved through powerful machines that cleaned, polished, and prepared every surface before the striking process began. Within an instant, enormous presses applied tremendous pressure, permanently imprinting Thomas Jefferson's portrait on one side and the detailed image of Monticello on the other. Every letter, every line, and every architectural feature appeared with remarkable accuracy. Although this operation repeated itself millions of times, every completed nickel represented an extraordinary achievement of engineering, craftsmanship, and quality control that allowed the United States Mint to produce dependable coinage for everyday commerce. Unlike many people believe, the 2009 Jefferson nickel was not struck in silver. Instead, it was produced using the traditional composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel, a durable alloy that has served American 5-cent coins for generations. This combination provides the familiar silver-colored appearance while giving the coin enough strength to survive years of circulation. From the moment these nickels entered cash registers, vending machines, and banks, they began collecting tiny marks that reflected their daily use. Every scratch, every contact mark, and every worn edge became part of the coin's personal history. Some examples remain protected inside rolls or collector albums, while countless others traveled across the country through thousands of everyday transactions, quietly recording their journey one exchange at a time. There is a fascinating moment that every experienced collector understands. It happens when an ordinary-looking coin is placed beneath a bright examination lamp and viewed through magnification. Suddenly, details invisible to the naked eye begin to appear. Jefferson's hair reveals delicate strands. Monticello's columns display remarkable precision, and every inscription becomes crisp and perfectly formed. Collectors examine the sharpness of the strike, the brilliance of the original luster, and the condition of the surfaces with extraordinary care. What seems like an ordinary 5-cent coin to most people becomes a remarkable piece of American craftsmanship. This patient study transforms coin collecting into a journey of discovery, where every tiny detail offers another clue about the coin's remarkable life since leaving the Denver Mint. Among all modern American coins, genuine mint-made errors remain some of the most fascinating discoveries a collector can make. Occasionally, a 2009 Jefferson nickel may display an authentic production error created during the striking process itself. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, retained die breaks, and certain double die varieties are examples of unusual features that originated inside the mint rather than through later damage. These accidental creations are prized because they represent brief moments when the normal manufacturing process produced something unexpectedly different. Experienced collectors always distinguish these authentic mint errors from scratches, dents, corrosion, or other damage that occurred after the coin entered circulation. Understanding this difference is one of the most valuable skills in numismatics because true mint errors tell a genuine story about the manufacturing process. As the years continued to pass, the 2009 Jefferson nickel quietly became more than everyday pocket change. Because relatively fewer nickels were produced during 2009 than in many surrounding years, collectors gradually developed greater interest in locating attractive examples. Complete date-and mint collections often require this issue, encouraging hobbyists to search carefully through old coin jars, bank rolls, and inherited collections. While the majority of circulated 2009 nickels remain common, examples preserved with exceptional luster, sharp strikes, or certified high grades naturally attract stronger collector attention. Their appeal comes not from exaggerated stories, but from the combination of lower production, historical context, and careful preservation over time. Every surviving coin reminds collectors that even modern issues can become historically important as the decades pass. Perhaps the greatest lesson hidden within the 2009 Jefferson nickel is that history often survives in the smallest objects people overlook every day. A coin, originally created simply to facilitate everyday purchases, has become a lasting reminder of American craftsmanship, national heritage, and one of the most challenging economic periods of the 21st century. Every time someone notices the words Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, EPLURBUSUNUM, and 5 cents, they are looking at more than inscriptions, they are witnessing traditions that have endured across generations. The 2009 D. Jefferson nickel proves that true historical importance is not measured by size, but by the stories preserved within a single piece of metal that continues to travel through history, one transaction at a time. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a forgotten wooden drawer that has remained unopened for years. Hidden among old receipts, faded photographs, and loose change rests a single 2009 D. Jefferson nickel, quietly waiting to be discovered. It has survived economic uncertainty, changing generations, and the rapid transformation of modern society without losing its identity. Every small mark on its surface reflects another chapter of its remarkable journey. Unlike brand new coins that have yet to begin their story, this nickel has already traveled through countless hands, businesses, and communities, silently connecting ordinary people with an important period in American history. Its greatest strength is not what it purchased, but the remarkable passage of time it continues to represent. Now picture an experienced numismatist carefully opening a coin album filled with decades of American nickels. Each space tells part of a larger story, but when the page reaches the year 2009, attention naturally turns toward the Denver issue. Because production was lower than many surrounding years, collectors often spend additional time searching for attractive examples with clean surfaces and strong eye appeal. This careful hunt is not driven by unrealistic promises of fortune, but by the satisfaction of completing a historical collection. Every successful discovery adds another missing piece to a timeline that documents the continuing evolution of American coinage, making the 2009 D. Jefferson nickel an important chapter rather than simply another date on a checklist. History has an extraordinary way of transforming ordinary objects into historical witnesses. During 2009, countless Jefferson nickels circulated while America experienced financial uncertainty and significant economic change. Families adjusted household budgets, businesses adapted to difficult conditions, and millions of people continued relying on coins for everyday purchases. Throughout those changing circumstances, the Jefferson nickel quietly fulfilled its purpose without attracting much attention. Years later, collectors recognize that these coins represent more than currency. They preserve a genuine connection to a unique moment in American history. Holding one today is like holding a small metallic reminder of resilience, continuity, and the nation's ability to move forward through challenging times. Finally, as this chapter reaches its conclusion, one lasting truth deserves to remain with every collector and every viewer. The 2009 D. Jefferson nickel is not extraordinary because of exaggerated stories or impossible claims. Its true importance lies in the remarkable history it preserves, the craftsmanship displayed in every detail, the legacy of Thomas Jefferson, and the enduring image of Monticello that continues to inspire generations. Whether discovered in everyday change, inherited from a family collection, or carefully preserved inside a professional album, every surviving example reminds us that history often lives in the smallest objects. Sometimes the greatest treasure is not measured by price alone, but by the story that a simple 5-cent coin continues to carry across the decades, patiently waiting for someone curious enough to appreciate its remarkable journey. As the sun rises over another American morning, millions of coins begin another day of quiet service, yet only a few inspire people to pause and ask where they have been. The 2009 D. Jefferson nickel is one of those remarkable coins. It has crossed state borders in wallets, rested inside cash drawers of small family businesses, traveled through vending machines, and found its way into collections that preserve pieces of the nation's past. Every exchange added another invisible chapter to its journey, proving that even the smallest denomination can become a lasting witness to history. While its purchasing power remained only 5 cents, its historical significance continued to grow with every passing year, making it a fascinating subject for collectors who appreciate the stories hidden inside everyday American currency. Few people realize how much artistic thought is contained within a single Jefferson nickel until they examine it carefully. The portrait of Thomas Jefferson is not merely a decorative image, but a tribute to one of America's greatest thinkers and statesmen. Opposite his portrait stands Monticello, a masterpiece of architecture that reflects Jefferson's passion for knowledge, balance, and innovation. Together, these two images create a visual conversation between the man and the home he designed, reminding every observer that leadership extends beyond politics into education, science, and culture. Every detail engraved onto the coin reflects years of artistic planning by the United States Mint, ensuring that history could be carried in the palm of every citizen's hand. Collectors often say that patience reveals what speed never can. That philosophy perfectly describes the search for exceptional 2009 Jefferson nickels. Rather than rushing through handfuls of loose change, experienced numismatists carefully inspect every coin under proper lighting, looking for crisp strikes, original mint luster, attractive eye appeal, and authentic mint-made varieties. Many searches end with ordinary examples, yet every examination builds valuable knowledge. The excitement comes not from expecting every nickel to be extraordinary, but from knowing that careful observation occasionally rewards dedication with an exceptional survivor. This steady pursuit of understanding has inspired generations of collectors and continues to keep the history of the Jefferson nickel alive long after its year of issue has passed. As this documentary reaches its final destination, the 2009 Jefferson nickel leaves behind a powerful reminder that history rarely announces itself with great fanfare. More often, it quietly survives inside ordinary objects that millions of people overlook every day. The familiar inscriptions, Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, EPLUOBUSUNUM, and 5 cents continue to carry the same meaning they did when the coin first emerged from the Denver Mint in 2009. Whether preserved in brilliant uncirculated condition or gently worn through years of honest circulation, every surviving nickel remains a symbol of American craftsmanship, national heritage, and the enduring legacy of Thomas Jefferson. Long after today's transactions are forgotten, this humble 5-cent coin will continue telling its remarkable story to anyone willing to pause, look closely, and appreciate the history resting quietly in the palm of their hand. Step 3. What if the next coin you receive in your pocket change has been quietly carrying a decade of American history without anyone noticing? The 2014 Jefferson nickel may appear to be an ordinary 5-cent coin, but behind its familiar design lies a fascinating story of craftsmanship, national heritage, and one of America's greatest founding fathers. Every time this coin changes hands, it continues a journey that began inside the historic Denver Mint, where skilled engineers and advanced machinery transformed simple metal into a lasting symbol of the United States. The inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, EPLUOBUSUNUM, and 5 cents are not merely words. They represent the ideals, history, and identity of a nation. Although millions of these nickels entered circulation during 2014, each surviving example has followed its own unique path through everyday American life, quietly preserving a remarkable chapter of modern history. Long before the 2014 Jefferson nickel was ever created, the remarkable life of Thomas Jefferson had already secured its place in the foundation of the United States. Born in colonial Virginia during the 18th century, Jefferson became one of the most influential leaders in American history. As the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, he helped express the ideals of liberty and self-government that would shape an entirely new nation. His achievements extended far beyond politics, reaching into architecture, agriculture, science, education, and diplomacy. Jefferson believed that knowledge was the greatest safeguard of freedom, and his passion for learning influenced generations of Americans. When the United States Mint chose to honor him on the 5-cent coin, it ensured that millions of people would continue encountering his legacy every single day through one of the nation's most familiar pieces of currency. Standing proudly on the reverse of the 2014 D. Jefferson nickel is Monticello, the extraordinary estate Jefferson spent decades designing and improving. Unlike many historic homes that were built according to someone else's plans, Monticello reflected Jefferson's own imagination, blending classical European influences with practical American innovation. Every architectural detail demonstrated his fascination with mathematics, engineering, and artistic balance. Beyond its beautiful appearance, Monticello served as a center for experimentation where Jefferson explored farming methods, scientific inventions, and educational ideas. By placing this remarkable building on the reverse of the Jefferson nickel, the United States Mint created far more than an attractive design. It transformed a circulating coin into a lasting tribute to creativity, curiosity, and the enduring influence of one of America's greatest visionaries. When the calendar reached 2014, the United States Mint continued producing Jefferson nickels for everyday circulation, and among them were millions bearing the small D mint mark of the Denver Mint. Every one of these coins began life inside one of America's busiest coin-producing facilities before traveling across the nation through banks, businesses, and households. Some immediately entered circulation and experienced years of everyday use, while others were carefully saved by collectors who appreciated their brilliant original appearance. Over time, each coin developed its own individual history depending upon how it was handled, stored, or circulated. This difference in preservation is one reason collectors continue examining modern nickels with such care, knowing that today's ordinary coin may become tomorrow's historical survivor. Every design element on the 2014 D. Jefferson nickel carries deeper meaning than most people realize. The word liberty reminds Americans of the freedoms upon which their nation was founded. Above Jefferson's portrait appears, "In God We Trust," a motto that has appeared on United States coinage for generations, reflecting an important part of the country's historical tradition. Turning the coin over reveals the familiar image of Monticello surrounded by United States of America, EPLUOBUSUNUM, and 5 cents. The Latin phrase EPLUOBUSUNUM, meaning out of many, one, symbolizes the unity created when individual states joined together to form one nation. Together, these inscriptions transform an ordinary 5-cent coin into a miniature historical document that continues carrying America's identity through every exchange, purchase, and collection in which it participates. Far beneath the controlled environment of the Denver Mint, where powerful machinery operates with incredible precision, the remarkable journey of every 2014 D. Jefferson nickel truly begins. Massive coils of carefully prepared metal are fed into specialized equipment that cuts thousands of perfectly round blanks with astonishing accuracy. These planchets are cleaned, polished, and inspected before advancing toward the striking presses. In less than a second, immense pressure transfers every detail of Thomas Jefferson's portrait, every column of Monticello, and every inscription onto the coin's surface. Although this process repeats millions of times, every completed nickel represents a perfect balance between advanced engineering and traditional craftsmanship. Before leaving the mint, each coin has already become a small ambassador of American history, ready to enter circulation and begin a journey that may last for generations. Unlike precious metal coins from earlier centuries, the 2014 D. Jefferson nickel was created for strength, durability, and everyday use. It consists of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it the familiar silver-colored appearance that most Americans instantly recognize. This carefully selected alloy resists wear remarkably well, allowing the coin to survive years of circulation while preserving much of its original design. Every time the nickel passes from one hand to another, it collects tiny marks that gradually record its life story. Some examples spend years inside cash registers and vending machines, while others remain untouched inside collector albums, preserving the brilliant mint luster they displayed on the day they were struck. This contrast between circulated and carefully preserved examples becomes one of the most fascinating aspects of modern coin collecting. There is a special moment experienced by every serious numismatist when an ordinary-looking nickel is placed beneath a bright examination lamp. What first appears to be a common 5-cent coin suddenly reveals an astonishing level of detail. Jefferson's facial features become sharper, the windows and columns of Monticello appear more defined, and every letter of the inscriptions reflects the precision of the mint's engraving process. Collectors carefully evaluate strike quality, original luster, eye appeal, and surface preservation before reaching conclusions about a coin's condition. This patient examination transforms an everyday object into an historical artifact, demonstrating that true appreciation often begins only after slowing down and observing details that most people never notice. Occasionally, the normal production process inside the mint creates something entirely unexpected. A small number of 2014 D. Jefferson nickels display genuine mint-made errors produced before the coins ever entered circulation. These may include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, retained die breaks, or other unusual varieties created during manufacturing. Such coins attract collector interest because they document rare moments when the minting process produced results different from the intended design. Experienced collectors understand that authentic mint errors must always be distinguished from scratches, dents, environmental damage, or alterations that occurred after the coin left the mint. Learning this difference is essential because genuine production errors preserve an authentic piece of minting history rather than damage acquired through circulation. As the years continue to pass, the 2014 D. Jefferson nickel quietly becomes a historical messenger connecting different generations of Americans. A coin first released into circulation during 2014 may still be exchanged today in local stores, carried inside wallets, or discovered inside forgotten coin jars. Every surviving example has followed a different path, witnessing thousands of everyday transactions while preserving the same portrait of Thomas Jefferson and the enduring image of Monticello. Although millions of these nickels were produced, each one now possesses an individual history shaped by time, movement, and human experience. That continuing journey reminds collectors that history is not always preserved inside museums alone. It often survives inside the ordinary coins that continue passing from one hand to another, quietly carrying the story of America forward with every exchange. Picture a collector opening a long-forgotten coin album after many years, carefully turning each page until a brilliant 2014 D. Jefferson nickel catches the light. At that moment, the coin is no longer viewed as simple pocket change, but as a preserved piece of American history. Every untouched surface reflects the condition in which it left the Denver Mint, allowing today's collector to admire the same craftsmanship that mint employees inspected years earlier. The sharp portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the crisp lettering, and the detailed image of Monticello demonstrate how beautifully a modern coin can survive when protected from circulation. For collectors, discovering such a well-preserved example is like opening a small window into the past, revealing the original beauty that millions of circulated nickels gradually lost through everyday use. Now imagine following a single 2014 D. Jefferson nickel from one owner to another across the United States. It may have purchased a morning newspaper in Colorado, traveled inside a truck driver's wallet through several states, rested inside a child's piggy bank for years, and later reappeared in the cash drawer of a neighborhood grocery store. Unlike museum artifacts that remain in one place, circulating coins build their history by constantly moving. Every transaction connects different communities, families, and generations. Although no written record exists for each coin's journey, its worn surfaces quietly preserve evidence of countless everyday moments. This invisible history gives every surviving nickel a unique identity that cannot be duplicated by any newly minted coin. Collectors often describe modern coin collecting as a search for hidden excellence rather than hidden treasure. The 2014 D. Jefferson nickel perfectly illustrates this philosophy because its greatest appeal often comes from exceptional preservation, outstanding strike quality, or interesting mint-made varieties rather than age alone. A beautifully preserved example displaying strong original luster, crisp details, and clean surfaces immediately stands apart from heavily circulated coins. These remarkable survivors remind collectors that careful storage, patience, and attention to detail play a significant role in preserving history. Over time, the number of outstanding examples naturally becomes smaller as ordinary circulation continues wearing away the original brilliance that existed when the coins first left the mint. There is another remarkable feature that makes the Jefferson nickel special: the consistency of its message across generations. The inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," "United States of America," "EPLUOBUSUNUM," and 5 cents have continued reminding Americans of their nation's history and ideals every time the coin changes hands. Thomas Jefferson's portrait represents leadership, knowledge, and the pursuit of liberty, while Monticello symbolizes innovation, architecture, and intellectual curiosity. Together, these elements transform the 5-cent coin into something much greater than currency. They create a lasting historical connection between America's founding principles and the everyday lives of millions of citizens who may never stop to realize the deeper meaning engraved into the metal they carry. As this chapter reaches its conclusion, the story of the 2014 Jefferson nickel continues to grow with every passing year. More collectors are beginning to appreciate modern coins not only for their condition, but also for the historical period they represent. The next time a Jefferson nickel appears in your change, take a moment to examine it closely. Notice the portrait, read the inscriptions, admire the image of Monticello, and remember that every coin has traveled a path unlike any other. While only certain authenticated era coins or exceptionally preserved examples attract strong collector premiums, every 2014 Jefferson nickel remains a genuine piece of American history. Its true value lies in the remarkable story it carries, a story of craftsmanship, national heritage, and the quiet journey of a small coin that continues connecting the past with the present. The final pages of the 2014 Jefferson nickel story are still being written because every day another coin begins a new chapter in someone else's hands. Unlike rare museum treasures that remain hidden behind glass, this 5-cent coin continues living among ordinary people, quietly participating in everyday life across the United States. One moment, it may rest inside a collector's protective album, and the next it could appear as change from a local store. Every exchange adds another invisible layer to its remarkable journey. Although millions of these nickels were produced, no two have experienced exactly the same history. Each surviving example carries memories of different cities, different owners, and different moments that together create a unique story impossible to duplicate. There is something truly remarkable about the way time transforms ordinary money into historical artifacts. When the 2014 Jefferson nickel first entered circulation, it was simply another newly minted coin among millions of others. Few people imagined that years later collectors would examine the same coin with magnifying glasses, carefully studying every line of Jefferson's portrait, every column of Monticello, and every tiny detail of the inscriptions. What once served only as everyday currency gradually became a connection to a specific period in American history. This quiet transformation reminds us that history often develops slowly, allowing ordinary objects to become extraordinary simply by surviving the passage of time. Every experienced collector eventually learns that the greatest discoveries are not always the most expensive ones. Sometimes, the real reward comes from understanding the craftsmanship behind a coin and appreciating the journey it has completed. The 2014 Jefferson nickel represents decades of American minting tradition, advanced engineering, and artistic excellence. Its carefully balanced design, durable composition, and historical symbolism demonstrate the remarkable attention devoted to even the nation's smallest circulating denominations. Holding one today means holding a genuine product of American craftsmanship that continues performing the same purpose it was created for, while simultaneously preserving history for future generations. That combination of usefulness and historical significance makes the Jefferson nickel one of the most fascinating modern coins to study. As this documentary reaches its conclusion, one lasting message remains. The 2014 Jefferson nickel is far more than a simple 5-cent coin. It represents the enduring legacy of Thomas Jefferson, the architectural brilliance of Monticello, the precision of the Denver Mint, and the traditions carried by the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, EPLUOBUSUNUM, and 5 cents. While only certain authenticated mint-era coins or exceptionally preserved specimens attract notable collector premiums, every surviving 2014 D nickel deserves appreciation as a genuine piece of American history. Long after today's transactions have been forgotten, this humble coin will continue passing from one generation to the next, quietly proving that history is often found in the smallest objects, and that every coin has a story waiting to be discovered by those willing to look beyond its face value. Step 4. Without warning, an ordinary-looking 5-cent coin can open the door to an extraordinary story stretching across centuries of American history. The 2015 D. Jefferson nickel is one of those coins that millions of people have handled without ever realizing the remarkable legacy engraved into its surface. At first glance, it appears to be simple pocket change, yet every detail, from the portrait of Thomas Jefferson to the image of Monticello, represents ideals, leadership, architecture, and national identity. The inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, EPLUOBUSUNUM, and 5 cents transform this small coin into a miniature historical document that has quietly traveled through wallets, cash registers, banks, and collections across the United States. Every surviving example has followed a different path, making each one a unique witness to modern American life. Long before the 2015 D. Jefferson nickel entered circulation, the remarkable life of Thomas Jefferson had already become woven into the foundation of the United States. Born in Virginia during the colonial era, Jefferson developed an insatiable curiosity that led him to study law, science, agriculture, philosophy, architecture, and politics. His greatest achievement came when he drafted the Declaration of Independence, expressing principles of liberty and self-government that continue inspiring nations around the world. Jefferson later served as the 3rd President of the United States, expanded the country's territory through the Louisiana Purchase, encouraged scientific exploration, and believed deeply that education was essential for preserving freedom. Every Jefferson nickel honors this extraordinary legacy by carrying his portrait into the hands of millions of Americans every day, reminding each generation of the lasting influence one individual can have upon an entire nation. Standing proudly on the reverse of the 2015 D. Jefferson nickel is Monticello, the historic estate that reflected Jefferson's imagination as much as his home. Rather than simply constructing a residence, Jefferson designed Monticello as a living expression of his lifelong pursuit of knowledge and innovation. He carefully studied European architecture while adapting its ideas to American conditions, creating a building that blended elegance with practicality. Beyond its impressive appearance, Monticello became a center for agriculture, invention, and intellectual discussion, where Jefferson tested new farming methods, explored scientific ideas, and welcomed visitors from around the world. By featuring Monticello on the reverse of the nickel, the United States Mint preserved more than architecture. It celebrated curiosity, creativity, and the belief that learning should continue throughout life. As the calendar turned to 2015, the United States Mint continued a tradition that had connected generations of Americans through the Jefferson nickel. Inside the historic Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark, advanced machinery transformed prepared metal blanks into millions of finished nickels with extraordinary precision. Every completed coin left the mint carrying the same carefully engraved portrait, the same architectural masterpiece of Monticello, and the same inscriptions that had appeared on Jefferson nickels for decades. Some coins entered immediate circulation, purchasing groceries, newspapers, transportation, and everyday necessities, while others were carefully preserved inside original rolls or collector albums. Although no one could predict which examples would survive in outstanding condition, every coin began its journey with the same purpose: to serve the American people while quietly carrying an important piece of national history. Every inscription appearing on the 2015 Jefferson nickel contributes to a message far greater than the coin's modest denomination. The word liberty celebrates one of the founding principles upon which the United States was established. Above Jefferson's portrait, "In God We Trust," reflects a national motto that has appeared on American coinage for generations. Turning the coin over reveals United States of America, proudly identifying the issuing nation, while EPLUBUSUNUM, meaning out of many, one, symbolizes the unity created by individual states joining together as one country. Finally, the simple words 5 cents identify the denomination while reminding us that even the smallest circulating coin can preserve profound historical meaning. Together, these inscriptions transform an everyday nickel into a lasting expression of American identity, linking the past, the present, and future generations through a single piece of carefully crafted metal. Deep within the Denver Mint, where powerful presses echo through enormous production halls, the remarkable journey of the 2015 Jefferson nickel truly begins. Long strips of carefully prepared metal are transformed into thousands of perfectly shaped planchets before moving through sophisticated machinery designed to achieve extraordinary precision. Each blank disc is inspected and cleaned before entering the striking chamber, where tremendous pressure permanently impresses Thomas Jefferson's portrait on one side and the detailed image of Monticello on the other. Although this process takes only a fraction of a second, the engineering behind every strike represents decades of technological advancement. Before a single nickel reaches circulation, it has already passed through one of the most carefully controlled manufacturing systems in the world, ensuring that every detail reflects the high standards of the United States Mint. Unlike precious metal coins issued during earlier periods of American history, the 2015 Jefferson nickel was designed for durability rather than intrinsic metal value. It consists of 75% copper and 25% nickel, creating the familiar silver-colored appearance recognized by millions of Americans. This strong alloy allows the coin to withstand years of circulation while maintaining the clarity of its design. As each nickel passes from one owner to another, tiny contact marks gradually appear, quietly recording the story of its travels. Some examples spend years inside vending machines, store registers, and family coin jars, while others remain protected inside original mint rolls or collector albums. The difference between these two journeys becomes increasingly important over time, as well-preserved examples continue displaying much of their original brilliance long after heavily circulated coins begin showing obvious signs of wear. There comes a fascinating moment in every collector's experience when an ordinary coin suddenly reveals extraordinary detail under careful examination. Beneath proper lighting and magnification, the 2015 Jefferson nickel displays remarkable artistry that often escapes casual observation. Jefferson's portrait reveals finely sculpted facial features, while the architectural lines of Monticello demonstrate the engraver's exceptional precision. Every letter of liberty, "In God We Trust," EPLUBUSUNUM, United States of America, and 5 cents appears with impressive clarity when the coin has been well preserved. Collectors study strike quality, surface luster, and eye appeal because these characteristics reveal not only the quality of manufacture, but also the care with which the coin has been protected throughout its life. Every close inspection uncovers another reason why even modern nickels deserve thoughtful appreciation. From time to time, the normal rhythm of coin production produces something entirely unexpected. During the minting process, a small number of coins may emerge with genuine manufacturing errors created before they ever leave the mint. These unusual pieces can include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, retained die breaks, or certain double die varieties. Such authentic mint-made errors attract collector interest because they document rare moments when the production process briefly departed from its intended course. Experienced numismatists carefully distinguish these genuine varieties from damage caused later through circulation, cleaning, or environmental exposure. Understanding this distinction is essential because authentic mint eras represent historical production events, while ordinary damage simply reflects the wear of everyday use. This knowledge allows collectors to appreciate both the craftsmanship of normal coins and the fascinating rarity of legitimate mint-produced anomalies. As years pass, the 2015 Jefferson nickel gradually evolves from ordinary circulating currency into a small historical survivor. Every coin remaining in circulation today has completed a unique journey through countless hands, businesses, and communities across the United States. Some examples continue performing the purpose for which they were created, while others have found permanent homes inside carefully organized collections. Regardless of where they now reside, every surviving nickel preserves the same portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the same image of Monticello, and the same enduring inscriptions that connect generations of Americans with their nation's history. Time has transformed these humble 5-cent coins into lasting reminders that even the smallest objects can quietly preserve extraordinary stories for those willing to pause, observe, and appreciate the remarkable history resting in the palm of their hand. Imagine opening an old coin album many years from now and finding a brilliant 2015 Jefferson nickel that still shines with much of the same luster it possessed on the day it left the Denver Mint. At that moment, the coin becomes much more than a 5-cent piece. It becomes a preserved chapter of American history. Every untouched surface reflects the remarkable craftsmanship of the mint, while every sharp detail of Thomas Jefferson's portrait and Monticello reminds collectors how beautifully a modern coin can survive when protected from circulation. Unlike heavily worn examples that spent years changing hands, these carefully preserved nickels offer a rare opportunity to experience the design almost exactly as it appeared during its first moments of existence. They remind us that proper preservation allows history to remain vivid for future generations. Now follow the imaginary journey of a single 2015 Jefferson nickel as it travels across America. It may begin inside a Denver bank before reaching a grocery store in Texas, then pass through the hands of a student in Ohio, a restaurant owner in Florida, and a traveler visiting the mountains of Colorado. Years later, the same nickel might rest quietly inside a family coin jar before finally being discovered by a curious young collector. Although no written record exists of its travels, every small contact mark tells part of that invisible story. Unlike historical documents stored in archives, circulating coins create their own history simply by serving the public day after day, connecting countless lives through ordinary moments that gradually become extraordinary with time. Collectors often discover that the greatest reward in numismatics is not merely owning a coin, but understanding the remarkable story behind it. The 2015 Jefferson nickel reflects generations of artistic design, historical remembrance, and technical innovation. Every carefully engraved line demonstrates the skill of the sculptors and engravers who transformed Jefferson's likeness into a lasting work of miniature art. The image of Monticello continues honoring Jefferson's passion for architecture and education, while the inscriptions surrounding the design preserve the ideals upon which the nation was built. Each close examination deepens appreciation for the extraordinary amount of history contained within an object small enough to disappear into the palm of a hand. As modern technology changes the way people use money, the Jefferson nickel continues serving as a familiar reminder of America's enduring traditions. Electronic payments, digital banking, and contactless transactions have become increasingly common, yet millions of Jefferson nickels remain in circulation, quietly performing the same purpose they have fulfilled for generations. This continuity gives the coin special historical importance because it bridges two different eras: the traditional world of physical currency and the rapidly evolving age of digital finance. Every 2015 Jefferson nickel represents this unique transition while continuing to preserve the portrait of Thomas Jefferson and the image of Monticello for future generations to appreciate. The story of the 2015 Jefferson nickel ultimately reminds us that history does not always reveal itself through dramatic events or famous landmarks. Sometimes, It survives inside the smallest objects that people overlook every day. Every surviving nickel carries the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, EPLUBUSUNUM, and 5 cents, preserving the same values that have appeared on American coinage for generations. While only certain authenticated mint-era coins or exceptionally preserved examples attract significant collector premiums, every 2015 D. Jefferson nickel deserves recognition as a genuine piece of American heritage. Its greatest legacy is not measured by extraordinary price tags, but by the remarkable journey it continues to make through history, quietly connecting the past, the present, and the future one exchange at a time. The closing chapter of the 2015 D. Jefferson nickel is still being written because every day another one of these coins begins a new journey in someone else's hands. One nickel may remain safely protected inside a collector's album for decades, preserving its original mint brilliance, while another continues traveling through restaurants, supermarkets, banks, and small businesses across America. Each path is different, yet every coin carries the same portrait of Thomas Jefferson and the same image of Monticello. Over time, these ordinary 5-cent pieces become historical witnesses, connecting generations through everyday commerce. Their true importance lies not in dramatic legends, but in their ability to preserve a genuine moment in American coinage that future collectors will continue studying with curiosity and respect. Few objects demonstrate the passage of time as quietly as a circulating coin. When the 2015 D. Jefferson nickel first emerged from the Denver Mint, it represented modern American currency designed for daily use. Years later, that same coin may display the gentle signs of honest circulation, reminding collectors of the countless transactions it completed. Others remain almost untouched, preserving the brilliant surfaces, sharp strike, and attractive luster that existed on the day of issue. This contrast between circulated and carefully preserved examples fascinates numismatists because it reveals how different histories can emerge from coins produced on the very same day. Every surviving nickel becomes a unique historical record shaped by time, movement, and the people who unknowingly carried it throughout its remarkable journey. Perhaps the greatest lesson taught by the Jefferson nickel is that history often hides in places where few people think to look. Every inscription engraved into the coin, Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, EPLUBUSUNUM, and 5 cents, continues carrying the same meaning it held when the first Jefferson nickel entered circulation generations ago. These words remind us of national ideals, unity, freedom, and the enduring principles that shaped the United States. Combined with Jefferson's portrait and the image of Monticello, they transform a simple piece of currency into a lasting symbol of American heritage. Even as society changes and technology advances, the message engraved on this small coin remains remarkably consistent, linking the past with the present through every exchange. As our documentary reaches its conclusion, one final truth deserves to remain with every viewer. The 2015 D. Jefferson nickel is not extraordinary because every example is rare or worth a fortune. Instead, its true significance comes from the history it preserves, the craftsmanship displayed in every detail, and the enduring legacy of Thomas Jefferson that continues traveling from one generation to the next. Whether discovered in everyday pocket change, inherited as part of a family collection, or carefully stored inside a professional coin album, every surviving 2015 D nickel tells a story of American history, innovation, and tradition. Long after today's transactions are forgotten, this humble 5-cent coin will continue reminding future collectors that some of history's greatest stories are preserved not inside grand monuments, but inside the smallest coins carried quietly in the pockets of ordinary people. Step 5. Before the world rushes past another ordinary 5-cent coin, pause for a moment and imagine the remarkable journey hidden within the 2022 P. Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it appears to be just another piece of pocket change, yet beneath its polished surface lies a story that connects America's founding ideals with the modern world. Every line engraved into the coin reflects decades of artistic tradition, advanced minting technology, and historical remembrance. The familiar inscriptions, Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, EPLUBUSUNUM, and 5 cents, are not random words. They represent the identity of a nation carried daily in the hands of millions. Although countless examples entered circulation in 2022, each surviving coin has already begun building its own unique history, quietly traveling through homes, businesses, and communities while preserving an enduring American legacy. Long before the 2022 P. Jefferson nickel ever existed, the extraordinary life of Thomas Jefferson had already transformed the course of American history. Jefferson was more than a president. He was a visionary whose influence reached politics, architecture, agriculture, education, diplomacy, and scientific discovery. As the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, he gave lasting expression to the ideals of liberty and equality that continue inspiring generations around the world. His belief that knowledge strengthens freedom shaped both his public service and private life. By placing Jefferson's portrait on the 5-cent coin, the United States Mint ensured that his legacy would remain visible not only in history books, but also in the everyday lives of millions of Americans who continue carrying his image through the simplest of daily transactions. Turn the coin over, and another remarkable chapter immediately unfolds. The reverse proudly displays Monticello, Jefferson's famous Virginia estate and one of the most recognizable homes in American history. Unlike many historic buildings designed by others, Monticello reflected Jefferson's own imagination and relentless pursuit of perfection. Inspired by classical architecture, yet adapted to American conditions, the estate became a living laboratory where Jefferson experimented with farming techniques, explored scientific ideas, and welcomed visitors from around the world. Every column, every window, and every carefully balanced proportion tells the story of a man who believed that beauty and intelligence belonged together. By preserving Monticello on the Jefferson nickel, the United States Mint transformed an everyday coin into a lasting tribute to creativity, innovation, and lifelong curiosity. As the calendar reached 2022, the historic Philadelphia Mint, represented by the P Mint mark, continued a tradition that stretched back for generations. Inside one of America's oldest and most respected coin-producing facilities, advanced machinery worked with extraordinary precision to produce millions of Jefferson nickels for everyday circulation. Every metal blank passed through multiple stages of preparation before powerful presses permanently impressed Jefferson's portrait, Monticello, and the surrounding inscriptions into its surface. Although the process required only moments, the planning, engineering, and craftsmanship behind every strike reflected decades of technical refinement. Each finished nickel left the mint ready to begin a journey that could continue for decades, quietly participating in the daily rhythm of American life while preserving an important piece of national history. Every inscription engraved on the 2022 P. Jefferson nickel carries a message that extends far beyond its face value. The word liberty reminds every generation of the freedoms upon which the United States was founded. Above Jefferson appears In God We Trust, a national motto that has remained part of American coinage for generations. On the reverse, United States of America proudly identifies the issuing nation, while EPLUBUSUNUM, translated as out of many one, celebrates the unity formed when individual states became one country. Completing the design are the words 5 cents, identifying the denomination while reminding us that even the smallest coin can preserve profound historical meaning. Together, these inscriptions transform an ordinary nickel into a miniature historical monument that continues carrying America's identity through every exchange, every collection, and every passing year. Step inside the Philadelphia Mint for a moment and imagine the powerful rhythm of modern coin production. Massive presses operate with astonishing precision, transforming plain metal blanks into finished 2022 P. Jefferson nickels within fractions of a second. Before the striking process begins, every blank planchet is carefully prepared, cleaned, and inspected to ensure it meets exact standards. Then, under tremendous pressure, Jefferson's portrait, the image of Monticello, and every inscription are permanently impressed into the metal. What appears to be an ordinary 5-cent coin is actually the result of remarkable engineering, advanced technology, and generations of minting expertise. Every completed nickel leaves the mint, carrying not only monetary value, but also the craftsmanship and tradition of one of America's oldest coin-producing institutions. Contrary to a common misconception, the 2022 P. Jefferson nickel is not struck in silver. It is produced using the traditional alloy of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving the coin its familiar silver-colored appearance while providing exceptional durability for daily circulation. This carefully selected composition allows the nickel to withstand years of handling without losing the important details of its design. Every scratch, every contact mark, and every sign of honest wear gradually becomes part of the coin's own story. Some examples continue traveling through stores and businesses, while others remain untouched inside original mint rolls or carefully preserved collector albums. As time passes, these different journeys create fascinating contrasts between circulated pieces and brilliant uncirculated survivors. Under the bright light of a collector's magnifying lamp, the 2022 P. Jefferson nickel reveals a level of artistry often overlooked during everyday use. Jefferson's facial features display remarkable sculptural depth, while the carefully engraved lines of Monticello demonstrate extraordinary precision. The windows, columns, roofline, and architectural balance of Jefferson's famous home become increasingly impressive with closer examination. Collectors also study the quality of the strike, searching for sharp details, smooth fields, and original mint luster that indicate exceptional preservation. What appears to most people as an ordinary 5-cent coin becomes, under careful observation, a miniature masterpiece of engraving that reflects the remarkable standards maintained by the United States Mint. Occasionally, even the most advanced manufacturing process produces fascinating surprises. A very small number of 2022 P. Jefferson nickels may display authentic mint-made errors that occurred during production rather than after circulation. Examples include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, retained die breaks, or certain double die varieties that escape the mint's quality control process. These genuine production errors attract collector interest because they represent unusual moments in the coin's creation. However, experienced numismatists always distinguish authentic mint errors from scratches, dents, corrosion, or damage caused after the coin entered circulation. Understanding this difference is essential because true mint errors are historical manufacturing events, while ordinary wear simply reflects the natural life of a circulating coin. As each year passes, the 2022 P. Jefferson nickel quietly gains another layer of historical importance. Millions of these coins continue moving through everyday commerce, yet every surviving example follows its own unique path. One nickel may remain hidden inside a family coin jar for years, another may travel across dozens of states, while a third could be preserved in pristine condition from the day it was issued. Although most 2022 P nickels remain common circulation coins, their individual stories become richer with time. Each transaction, each new owner, and each passing year adds another invisible chapter to the coin's remarkable journey, reminding collectors that history is often preserved not through grand monuments, but through the ordinary objects that accompany everyday life. Imagine opening an old wooden box tucked away in an attic decades from now, where among faded photographs and handwritten letters rests a beautifully preserved 2022 P. Jefferson nickel. Although it was once ordinary pocket change, time has quietly transformed it into a witness of an era. Every untouched surface reflects the same brilliance it carried when it first emerged from the Philadelphia Mint, while every engraved detail continues honoring Thomas Jefferson and the architectural masterpiece of Monticello. To a collector, such a discovery is more than finding a coin. It is uncovering a preserved fragment of American history that has escaped the wear of circulation and continues telling its story exactly as it began. Follow the imaginary path of a single 2022 P. Jefferson nickel as it travels across the United States. It may first leave a bank in Philadelphia before appearing as change in a small cafe in Pennsylvania. Weeks later, it could pass through the hands of a tourist visiting New York, continue to a grocery store in Tennessee, and eventually find its way into a child's coin collection in California. Every exchange silently records another chapter of its remarkable journey. Unlike historical artifacts locked behind museum glass, circulating coins experience everyday life alongside ordinary people. Their value lies not only in what they purchase, but also in the countless memories they unknowingly accompany throughout the years. Collectors know that patience is often rewarded with remarkable discoveries. Rather than searching only for age, experienced numismatists study every 2022 P. Jefferson nickel for exceptional strike quality, attractive mint luster, and unusually well-preserved surfaces. A sharply struck coin displaying brilliant original finish immediately stands apart from examples that have spent years in circulation. While most 2022 P nickels remain common, outstanding mint state specimens and authenticated mint-era coins naturally attract greater collector attention because they preserve the mint's craftsmanship at its finest. The excitement comes not from unrealistic promises of instant wealth, but from recognizing quality, rarity of condition, and historical significance through careful observation. The artistic design of the Jefferson nickel continues proving that beauty can exist even within everyday currency. Jefferson's dignified portrait reflects wisdom, leadership, and intellectual curiosity, while Monticello represents innovation, balance, and architectural excellence. Together, they create a visual reminder that America's history extends far beyond politics into education, science, engineering, and culture. Every inscription, Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, EPLUOBUSUNUM, and 5 cents, reinforces values that have shaped the nation for generations. These carefully arranged elements transform a simple 5-cent coin into a lasting historical message carried quietly through millions of daily transactions. As this chapter draws to a close, the story of the 2022 P. Jefferson nickel continues growing with every passing day. New collectors discover the series, experienced numismatists continue searching for exceptional examples, and ordinary people unknowingly carry pieces of American history in their pockets. Although the vast majority of 2022 P nickels are regular circulation coins rather than rare treasures, each one remains an authentic product of the United States Mint and a lasting symbol of the nation's heritage. Long after today's purchases are forgotten, these humble nickels will continue preserving the legacy of Thomas Jefferson, the beauty of Monticello, and the enduring ideals engraved upon their surfaces, reminding future generations that even the smallest coin can carry an extraordinary story. Picture a future collector sitting at a desk under a bright examination lamp, carefully placing a 2022 P. Jefferson nickel beneath a magnifying glass. To most people, it would still appear to be nothing more than a modern 5-cent coin, but to trained eyes, every tiny detail becomes a chapter of history. The sharpness of Jefferson's portrait, the brilliance of the original mint luster, the crisp architectural lines of Monticello, and the clarity of every inscription reveal how carefully the coin has survived since leaving the Philadelphia Mint. Collectors understand that preservation itself becomes part of a coin's story. While millions of nickels gradually lose their original appearance through everyday circulation, a beautifully preserved example allows future generations to witness the artistry exactly as mint engravers intended. That remarkable survival transforms an ordinary coin into a lasting historical record of American craftsmanship. History has always rewarded those who pay attention to small details, and the Jefferson nickel proves that lesson perfectly. Every genuine coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint carries the small P mint mark, identifying its birthplace and connecting it to one of the oldest operating mint facilities in the United States, from the moment each nickel entered circulation. It became part of an endless chain of commerce that linked families, businesses, travelers, and communities across the nation. Some examples continued circulating for years without interruption, while others were immediately saved by collectors who appreciated modern coinage. Regardless of where each coin traveled, all carried the same mission: to represent the United States through reliable currency while preserving the image of one of its greatest founding fathers. That quiet responsibility continues every day as countless Jefferson nickels remain in active circulation. One of the greatest misconceptions in modern coin collecting is the belief that every recent coin automatically becomes a rare fortune. The reality is both more fascinating and more meaningful. Most 2022 P. Jefferson nickels remain common circulation coins produced for everyday use. However, collectors pay special attention to authenticated mint errors, unusually strong strikes, and exceptionally preserved mint-state examples, because these stand apart from ordinary circulation pieces. Professional grading services evaluate coins according to strict standards, examining wear, surface quality, eye appeal, strike sharpness, and luster before assigning an official grade. Coins that achieve the highest grades often become especially desirable because so few survive in nearly perfect condition. This careful process demonstrates that rarity is created not by myths, but by preservation, quality, and authentic historical significance. As our documentary approaches its conclusion, the 2022 P. Jefferson nickel reminds us that true historical importance cannot always be measured by age or face value. Instead, it is measured by the stories preserved within its metal. Every inscription, Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, EPLUOBUSUNUM, and 5 cents, continues carrying the same ideals that have represented the nation for generations. Thomas Jefferson's portrait still symbolizes leadership, education, and liberty, while Monticello remains an enduring tribute to creativity and innovation. Whether this nickel rests inside a collector's album or continues passing from one hand to another in daily commerce, it remains a genuine piece of American heritage whose story grows richer with every passing year. Long after individual transactions have been forgotten, the 2022 P. Jefferson nickel will continue reminding future generations that history often survives inside the smallest objects, quietly waiting for someone curious enough to discover its remarkable journey. Every remarkable journey eventually reaches a conclusion, yet the legacy of the 2022 P. Jefferson nickel will continue far beyond the present day. While most examples remain common circulation coins, they represent an important chapter in the continuing story of American coinage. Only authenticated mint-era varieties or exceptionally preserved mint-state examples generally command stronger collector premiums, but every genuine 2022 P nickel deserves appreciation for its craftsmanship, historical symbolism, and connection to Thomas Jefferson's enduring legacy. The next time one appears in your pocket change, pause before spending it. Read the words Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, EPLUOBUSUNUM, and 5 cents. Look closely at Jefferson's portrait and admire the image of Monticello. You may be holding only 5 cents in monetary value, but you are also holding a small piece of American history that quietly continues its journey through the hands of millions, carrying its remarkable story into the future, one transaction at a time.